It's a big honor to participate in this conference and make a speech. When I was approached with the idea to give a presentation on the real estate market, I went online trying to find out who is the audience, I figured out that it's for, call it global Latvians. And while putting my presentation together, I actually was trying to figure out what would be my personal touch. And it actually is, because I am the one who used to be so-called this global Latvian. I used to live outside of Latvia for some time, and then I came back to Latvia, to Riga. And while I was living abroad, there are a few things what I was always wondering about. Primarily, it was about my family, my friends, how they're doing. But the other two things, what I was curious, were following. The first one, I was always interested to know how Riga is developing. What's new is in there? What's been under construction in terms of, I don't know, a Southern Bridge at that time, I remember, or something else. And the second thing, it was always in the back of my head is, if I decide to come back to Riga, to Latvia, will I find a job? And what kind of job that would be? Well, how much they will be paying, and what are the social benefits on that? So I will be focusing on those two things. What have been changing in Riga, and what it will be changing in Riga. And the second thing, I will be focusing on job possibilities on the market. And for those who haven't been in Riga for a while, I will bring you some selected pictures, areas in the Riga, how they've been before, and what is happening nowadays. And on the first slide, you see Central Station area, and on the left side, you will see how it used to be like. If some remembers, there was a central office for the post services. After that, it was demolished, and if you would be walking there today, you would see a multifunctional development, Riga 1, where you have a shopping center and offices, and actually our office is located in this building, and we're very happy about the location and the convenience offering there. Let me bring you to another part of Riga, in Kipsila, Pārdaugava. There used to be this Preses nams, so journalist house, and on the left side, it's how it used to be. On the right side, this is how it's going to look like in 2023, but now the construction works are happening and then development is happening. And then let me bring me into another part of Riga, this Drēliņi district, where before that, 5 years ago, you would see a plain field, maybe some private houses here and there. But now IKEA entered the market in Riga. In front of IKEA, there's a shopping center, Saga, with a kindergarten and a wake park. And there are many, many more developments are happening there. So Riga municipality decided that they're going to bring a metro bus in the nearest future to this area. But let's look at another selected area of Riga, and this Daugava promenade. It's a waterfront. On the left side, it's some places how it used to be, and on the right side, this is the waterfront of Daugava next to the central market, and this is a really great place for jogging or bicycling or just, enjoying the water views. And this is, the part of how Riga is changing. But the second question I would like to raise, and that's related to job opportunities. And I would like to through it through the prism of real estate. And the job opportunities being discussed today already, and one of the sectors I would like to focus on is global business services, as we call it, GBS. Without going into deeper details of what it does, and Alessia was really up to the details on this industry, just to put in a simple words, those are organizations who are establishing their services in Riga and supporting global functions. And it's not just the call centers, that would be wrong. Through Riga, via Riga, IT functions, finance, customer service, logistics, human resources are serviced on a worldwide scale. And on the right side, you see some names who are present in Riga currently. Those are global names or regional names, but those are the big companies operating here locally. And there are currently roughly 50 centers employing more than 15,000 employees. What's the opportunity? Let's zoom it out, look at the regional scale. This graph shows how business surface job creation and the project allocation were happening between 2015 and 2019. And we are talking about different areas globally, from Middle East, Latin America, Asian Pacific, and on the right upper corner you see Central Eastern Europe as the leader in terms of job creation and project creation. And in that dot we actually have data for Riga as well, because Riga and Latvia is part of the Central and Eastern Europe for the analysis. The simple answer to the reason why it's an absolute leader among those other regions is that the skilled and talented pool of people living and working here. If we would zoom in into the region itself, and on the left side you would see a picture of the region back in 2000, where organizations were searching where to establish a business center. They would be looking mainly at the capital cities, 7, 8 of them in the central part of Europe, like Warsaw or Prague. 20 years later, and you see the map on the screen on the right side, more than 200 cities are competing for this industry, for these organizations. And the total number of employment is close to 1 billion in the region. Of course, Poland is leading by the example. We've taken with a share of roughly 35% of the total employment in there. But there is an opportunity, and the industry is still growing, as Alessia was mentioning earlier before. So the question is, how much GBS jobs can Riga fit in? And as we mentioned before, there are roughly 15,000 already available on the market. In our opinion, we can at least double the size. In our estimates, we think that 38,000 jobs in Riga could be created by 2030. How do we count that? We based on the total city population, with current GBS employment, number of students, and graduates. And let me just drop down how did we come up to that number. So we collected similar cities of the size of Riga, and on the left side you would see cities like Kraków and Wrocław. We believe those are saturated market for this industry. And then in the mid you would see peer markets like Gdańsk, Tri-City, or Vilnius, and then on the right side you see Riga. In terms of populations, they are very much similar. But if you will look at the deep dark blue bubbles, then that's the employment ratio per 1,000 people living in the city. So in a saturated market like Kraków, for every 1,000 people living in the city, 100 people are working in that industry. And for the contrast, in Riga, it's for 1,000 people, it's only 22 working in that industry. So the difference is 5 times. If you would look at the lower scale, the light blue bubbles, that's the employment ratio per 1,000 students. Again, if compare the saturated market, it's between 500 and 600 employees comparing to 1,000 students, all students, different segments, different education level. That's the proportion in those cities for that kind of jobs. And again, on the other side, we have Riga with less than 200 employed compared to 1,000 employees. And down there below, there are more bubbles, and the bubble I would like to talk about is related to Vilnius. That's actually shows the growth rate of those jobs on average comparing to the 1,000 graduates. And as you can see, Vilnius was growing a lot. And that's why before that we heard discussion that Vilnius is growing, it's being competitive, a lot of jobs are created. And look at Riga, it's below 100. So what we are saying, there is untapped opportunity. The market in Riga is not saturated, and organizations are looking to expand and grow in this direction. But when they are searching for the place to grow, they would usually look at the city in the regional context. And we divide it into 4 tiers, and we believe that Riga right now is at the crossroads between tier 3 and tier 2. And I do believe with the right approach, with the right marketing and the right strategy for the government, for Riga municipality, we will be very soon in the tier 2. And majority of organizations, when they start to look for expansion or relocation of their functions, they usually would look at tier 2 and tier 1 in general. So we see the opportunities. Sustainable growth is to bring between 2,000, 3,000 jobs in Riga in GBS industry is very, very much possible. But then we're talking about the infrastructure. Where do you place those jobs? And usually when it comes to commercial real estate, namely offices. And the slides I will show you further on are just the reflection of what's happening in the commercial real estate and how active it is from the investment opportunities, where many developers are currently bringing up new beautiful buildings into the market, and there are more to come. It's just the map showing some of them, selected one once again, but let's go slide by slide. Verde, that's the building under construction. It's in Portuguese green. They claim to will be the most greenest office development in Riga. Going further on, Gustav's, the building on the front you see is under construction for SEB, Global Business Services. That's going to be their new house for employing for more than 1,000 employees back in 2023. Moving further on, Pressesnams, phase 1. This is this journalist house development, and that's going to be the offices. That's going to be a retail, football pitch, the hotel development, social and educational functions available. Also, mid of 2023. Navira Plaza, in front of the central station, the place where will be the stops for microbuses, now another office development, available back in 2023. MT1, we are standing here now in Hanzas Peron. Next to that building, there is a development for offices. Again, beginning of 23 will be available on the market. Zeiss, jumping into the Pardogo area next to the Knowledge Mile, another building under development will be delivered in 2022. Elemental Skanstas, looking again on Skansta area, and it's worth to mention that city believes that Skansta area will be their priority to move on. The Pine, this is very ambitious project for the whole Baltics, the first office wooden building, very sustainable, under planning right now, and with the delivery in 2023. Krasta City, looking at the waterfront, that's the architectural competition winner. They're in the planning stage with the delivery of more than 100,000 square meters of office and residential. Kimmel Quartals, that's the renovation, former brewery factory that will be also a mixed-use development with apartments, offices, and other different functions. And last but not least, it's Magdalena's Quartals. It's part of the mixed-use development in the Quiet Center, as you can see, respecting the heritage and the architecture. With that note, what I want to say is that Riga is developing. There are job opportunities. And to finish this presentation on a personal message, and I mentioned that in the beginning, I used to live outside of Latvia. So for more than 5 years, I've been living in California, in San Francisco. And I must admit, it's a great city to live in. But then I moved back to Riga, and I don't regret it, not a bit. I do believe Riga is a great place to live. That's a great level of work and balance, what you can get in this city. That's a great place to raise kids. And I'm actually a very proud citizen of this city.